Hey, this is Rome coming to you from Old Iron. Today we're going to talk about a phenomenal piece of equipment from our friends at Rogue called the Rhino. The Rhino is primarily used as a belt squat machine that allows you to target your quads, hams, glutes in a very similar way to a traditional squat, but without the added load and dangers of traditional squats. This is a great option if you have shoulder and back issues or simply work out alone and don't feel comfortable performing squats without a spotter. Belt squats are also a great way to push through plateaus via training to failure and other methodologies. However, the Rhino is more than just a belt squat, and we'll get into that in a little bit. First, let's cover the four different configurations that the Rhino comes in. How you go about selecting your configuration will greatly depend on the equipment you already have. First is the standard configuration. The standalone configuration comes with everything you need without any additional equipment and sells for around $2,295 as the time of this video. The second is a rack version that comes with a 4-post rack that the Rhino is installed into. This gives you the ability to use the rack for conventional squats in addition to other exercises you would normally use a rack for, but not all exercises. This is the most expensive option at $3,500 of the two all-in-one solutions. Now, the next two options will require you to already own a Rogue Monster rack. I will mention that not all Rogue racks are compatible with the next two options. I highly recommend that you contact Rogue and verify that your rack is compatible with the appropriate option you're selecting. The first one of these is a belt squat drop-in. This allows you to integrate it into your existing rack, adding functionality and saving space. This option comes in at $2,145. However, I would like to mention that the standalone Rhino can easily be configured to fit into a compatible rack, thus giving you the option to split it out later if you choose to. So if you're picking a drop-in rack, just remember, if you ever want to pull that out in the future, you just might want to go ahead and buy the standalone and integrate it into your rack as long as it's compatible. The final option is a Rhino Trainer drop-in. This is also a drop-in version, but it has a configuration and provides you with lat pull-down and tricep capabilities and comes with several nice accessories. This unit comes with a price tag of $2,250. So now let's get into how I made my selection and why. At the time of my purchase, a trainer drop-in version was not available. And to be honest, I would have not gone in that route. I already had a Monster RM6 6-post rack, and with my limited space, I knew I would be doing a drop-in version. However, I went with a standalone solution as I had the option of pulling it out of the rack in the future if I chose to. Now, why do I say I wouldn't have gotten the trainer version? I added 2 additional cross members to my 6-post rack, and I purchased a Monster Slinger, and that gave me the exact same capability as buying the trainer version. But then I also got all the benefits of actually pulling my unit out that I wouldn't get with the trainer version, and that's the biggest reason why I would still go with just a drop-in. However, if you do not plan on ever having it as standalone, I highly recommend the Rhino Rack Trainer version if you already have a Rogue Rack that's compatible. As far as the performance, this unit is built like a tank. I am a heavy man at 300 plus pounds, and the rig is as solid as it gets. So you will be purchasing a piece of equipment that stands the test of time. I've had mine now for 3 years and can attest to this. One of the best features of the Rhino is the weight load ratio of 1-to-1. This means that for every pound you put on it, you will be lifting that pound. With the trolley alone, the lowest weight you can get to is 27 pounds. And while you might think this doesn't matter for squats, it will matter for some of the alternate exercises you could do with such as single arm curls. Yeah, you can do different variations of curls with this machines. Plate loaded. Using standard Olympic plates allows you to tailor the load to your needs and avoids the sometimes complex maintenance of a pin load weight rack system. Flexibility. If you have any of the options other than the standalone, you could adapt this unit for use with just about any overhead pulley attachment you can think of. But I do have a few things I want to nitpick about this unit. The actual belt that it ships with, at least at the time of my purchase, was very stiff and not easily adjusted. I ended up buying 2 additional belts from Spud Inc., a belt made specific for belt squat machines, and their front harness that gave me the exact same load dynamics as performing freestanding squats, freestanding front squats, that is. However, I do believe that the new Rogue Rhinos are shipping with a belt made by Sputnik, so you may have better luck than me, but I would verify with Rogue. The cable, I had issues with the cable when I was doing seated rows. The sheathing began to come off as it rubbed against a small roller in the front edge of the platform. This, however, was contained to a small section and has not gotten any worse since then. Using the Rhino for seated rows where it wasn't really designed for that, but I've really enjoyed doing seated rows with the Rhino. And the last thing is the platform screws by the rollers. These are 4 screws that are not stainless steel and they're showing signs of oxidation. However, I'm going to be replacing these with stainless steel ones from Home Depot in the next few weeks. It's only 4 screws, so it's not too bad. All the rest of the screws around the unit are galvanized steel from what it appears to be. Or bolts, I might say. Do I recommend the Rhino? Yes, I do, in any of the configurations. I say this with a caveat, though. It's not for everyone. This is a big piece of equipment, and you will not be moving it around once it's assembled. Also, it's very expensive. So unless you already have great habits of training, don't let this be the first thing you purchase as you're getting into training. It might just become the biggest paperweight you've ever had. I will follow up on this video with additional videos on all the different variation of exercise that I personally use for this. So stay tuned for that. Until then, take care and just try to be a little better today than you were yesterday.